I am Professor Philip F. Napoli. I'm an Associate Professor of U.S. 20th Century Social and Public History here at Brooklyn College. I've been here since 2001, and I first began adjuncting here in 1998, so I've been here for a while. I am presently engaged in research and writing on a book about a man named John Rowan. John is president of an organization called Vietnam Veterans of America. It's the largest Vietnam veterans organization in the country. VVA is important because it has been at the forefront of advocating for veterans' rights and benefits from the federal government since its inception in 1978. They've had very important wins in the past regarding Agent Orange and post-traumatic stress disorder and the Veterans Center, all of which are crucial to veterans' lives, not just Vietnam veterans, but also also veterans from all generations. I'm working on a book, sort of co-written autobiography of John, using his papers, his friends, his photographs, and much more. John has given me free rein to raid his house and his archives down in the national office in Washington, D.C. We've been working on it for about 5 years. I'd like to bring it to a close this spring if I possibly can. As I said, I've been here since 1998, teaching on the campus and in the history department full-time since 2005. And I love being here. I came here very deliberately and consciously. I was an archivist at Columbia University for a couple of years after finishing my PhD in 1998, and had the opportunity to come here to teach because I really wanted to be in the classroom. I made this decision knowing the Brooklyn College students. There's a diversity of background, a diversity of intellectual interests that was really stimulating to me. I sincerely wanted to be in the classroom with the young people who come here. I know most of Brooklyn College students are first-generation college. This is really, really appealing to me. And the department itself is something that's very, very meaningful. We've come a long way as a department, and we get along extremely well. I have really good colleagues that contribute a lot to my intellectual life. I've been working with veterans from all backgrounds for a long time. I got my start doing oral history with Tom Brokaw, working on his books called The Greatest Generation. I worked on the first volume, published in 1998, and on the third, called An Album of Memories. And I learned from Brokaw a great deal of lessons about conducting oral histories and working with veterans. And as a result, in 2013, I published a volume called Bringing It All Back Home, an oral history of New York City's Vietnam veterans. For that book, I interviewed about 200 veterans from the New York City area, amassing about 600 hours of recorded conversations, which were all transcribed, and then I converted that into a book made up of principally 16, I think, interviews, sort of personality profiles, tracing the history of those veterans from New York City streets to the battlefields in Vietnam and back home. My interest in work with veterans, however, is not military history per se, although one has to know some things about what took place in Vietnam or on any given battlefield of the veteran you're talking with. I'm really interested in the questions of what does it mean to bring that service memory home? What does it mean to survive a war and convert that wartime memory into something meaningful long term? So my interest is in the consequences of military conflict rather than military conflict itself. I find that those veterans' memories contain lessons, I think, for all Americans about resilience, about strength, and about suffering. And those are lessons I think we all should pay attention to in a world in which we are still conducting what we would call the forever wars. So what's my favorite part of teaching at Brooklyn College? It's actually really the students. So as one example, in the past academic year, I've been working with a group of history students and Macaulay students on what we call the Resistance Project. And it started out as us just going to the museums together. We've been to, I think, 11 museum exhibits since September. And we frequently end up going out to lunch or dinner afterward, and it mutated, it grew from seeing cool things in places like the Brooklyn Museum to deciding maybe we could do something of a similar kind, and we have decided we're going to take photographs and try to display them about a particular topic, as I call it, resistance. We hope we will be able to mount an exhibition of that stuff in the spring. The point is, though, the students at the college are engaged in ways that I think is unique, anyway, enormously meaningful to me. They are willing to put themselves out, take risks, take advantage of the opportunities that are provided here in the city. And that is something I think is really special about the college and its students.